Sports bettors, I have three player props for tonight. I have one NFL prop as well as two NBA props. And again, I say this all the time, but I just show you guys what I'm betting on. It's really that simple. I ride with you on all these plays, the wins, the losses, the losing streaks. All I'm showing you are things that I put my own money on. So we can go through briefly what's interesting about Underdog Fantasy. And what's interesting about this platform is they don't vary your payouts depending on if you select the overs, the unders. Any three pick entry, you're betting one to win six. We switch this to an under, one to win six. We switch this to a different player, one to win six. Any three plays you put together, you're betting one to win six. So that's just plus 500 odds, right? Betting one for a total payout of six, five in profit is roughly plus 500 odds. So this platform, although they're not, they don't have odds on their site like a sports book, they're charging juice, but it's implied juice, right? Any three leg parlay on this platform, you're betting one to win six, so that's plus 500 odds, which just means the implied odds on all of your plays is minus 122. So essentially, out of the tens of thousands of odds on their site, any you include in a three pick entry, you should assume you're getting minus 122. Now, the reason this is very different than, a sports book is if you go ahead and you look at a sports book, right, they vary pricing depending on if you select the over or the under. Here, Hunter Henry on FanDuel, under 2.5 receptions, is minus 146. So it's juiced towards the under. So FanDuel thinks the under is a lot more likely to hit than the over, right? Whereas on Underdog Fantasy, they're not varying pricing depending on if you select the over or the under. So you can see here, if I switch in this same game parlay to an over, my same game parlay odds switches to plus 521. If I switch back to an under, it's plus 389. So sportsbooks vary payouts depending on if you select the over or the under. So long story short, these sportsbooks are much sharper, more efficient betting markets. So my main strategy for making money off Underdog Fantasy is pretty simple. I use you don't need to update Chrome. I use the positive EV tool. I just filter for Underdog Fantasy, and I look for plays where we're getting great value at minus 122 odds. So for example, you can see here Spencer Dinwiddie under 3.5 rebounds. Every sportsbook has the under heavily juiced, right? Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker in the world, they have this minus 165. Hard Rock, minus 160. Now, Bovada, minus 110, but I don't have access to that currently. But that would be an incredible play. Betway, minus 145. Bet Online, minus 156. In Underdog Fantasy, again, we're getting minus 122 implied juice in a three-pick entry. Right? The two-pick entries have terrible implied juice, minus 137, which is insane. So you'll notice all my plays are going to be three-pick entries, basically, or five-pick, because the implied juice is minus 122. So the first play I went with, again, is just going to be right here. Dinwiddie under 3.5 rebounds. 3.58% profit margin. I typically sort to see the highest profit margin plays first on OddsJam. And, we have high confidence. That's another thing I like to talk about, is you have high confidence that this under 3.5 rebounds is great value at minus 122, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ignore Bovada. Well, Bovada is a negative, right? They're giving minus 110, so that makes us like this play a little less, right? But you look at all this data in the market, and you're kind of like an investor. You're treating every sportsbook as an independent data point of where the line should be set, and you're saying, okay, which plays actually have enough value to beat the juice, to beat that minus 122 juice? And you can see this is also an arbitrage bet. So this is the first play I went with. Spencer Dinwiddie, under 3.5 rebounds. Again, you're never going to get a perfect answer as a sports bettor. Why is Bovada minus 110? This market's constantly moving. Lines are constantly changing. Lineups are changing. Sharp actions coming in. Weather's changing in the NFL. Lines are always moving. This market's dynamic, right? But making money sports betting, so you can see in my, OddsJam bet tracker, what you're going to notice is there are ups and there are downs. And I'm on a bunch of these verifiable bet trackers. So I'm on OddsJams, obviously, but then I'm also on Pickett. So you can follow me there. It's just a verifiable bet tracker. So I've been tracking my plays there, and you'll notice we have losing streaks. Here's like college football as an example. I tweeted out a play this morning. Losing streaks, winning streaks, losing streaks, but hey, 4.29% ROI. That's what I care about, right? Long-term profit margin, and then I just want to get down as many positive EV bets as I can on a daily basis. So this play alone has a 3.58% edge or profit margin. Next play I went with, Hunter Henry, under 2.5 receptions. Sure, the profit margin is lower, but hey, there are a couple things you should notice. First, this minus 122, that's an arbitrage bet to Superbook, to Betway, and also to Caesars, right? So basically, you look at every sportsbook, they all have the under juiced. There's a little discrepancy in the market. Betfred only has it minus 130, Caesars minus 179. But again, you look at all the data in the market, you say, okay, what would this line be without VIG? And the market consensus is minus 125, minus 124.68. We're getting minus 122, so I'm going to dabble, right? I'm getting value. I'm beating the no VIG line, the market consensus without VIG. That's what you want. That's sharp sports betting. There's no BS. There's nothing about, Hunter Henry. Like, it's all BS, right? Sports betting is data. There are millions of odds on Underdog Fantasy, and I don't even think most handicappers who bet on this platform can explain to you how it works, right? There's literally tens of thousands of odds on this platform. Most people making YouTube videos about it, most people giving out picks on it, don't even know how it works. And then you wonder why you lose money when you tail them, right? It's all about the math, the strategy, understanding the market. Literally taking Hunter Henry over 2.5 receptions. I don't care what your opinion is on what he's going to do tonight. If you took his over on Underdog Fantasy, you'd be the most clueless person in the world. Or uneducated, right? Because you didn't understand the strategy. But why are you betting on Underdog if you don't understand the strategy yet? So you can see right here, Superbook is giving it plus 135, and you'd be betting it 57 cents worse at minus 122. Even worse, if you included it in a 2-pick entry, Hunter Henry over 2.5 receptions, you would be getting 72 cents worse than Superbook. I don't even care if Superbook's in your location. You should know you're getting ripped off if you're getting 72 cents worse than a sportsbook. That's how you go broke sports betting and playing on Underdog Fantasy. You have to understand the enemy before you try to slay them. And it's no different in sports betting. You got to understand how these books work, how they try to make money off you, all that good stuff. Final play I went with, Finney Smith, over 1.5 threes. Just following the math. Pretty simple. Every sports book, Pinnacle, Sharpest Bookmaker, Bet Online has this minus 149. All these sports books have their juice, their spread baked in, but we're still beating the line without the juice once you remove it. So really good value at minus 122. And I hit it, and you can see my play right here. Right here, 3 picks. Let's make some money.